Good evening.
Here they are. What's up, everybody?
Hello.
Let's see if I can get that off of there. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's off. Okay, that's going to be a delay. Don't try not to watch
I
that.
will not watch that one because it's buzzing.
Yeah. All right. Now on Spotify with video and audio editions. Check it out if you get a chance. This is a live taping recording session of episode 4 of the American Anomalies podcast with, see if I can reach into his computer there, Jeff Hill, and me, Brett Morton. What's up?
Hello.
How did I just do that? And you're miles away. How are you so far away? Tonight's episode is about the Austin, Texas yogurt shop murders from December of 91. And then we're going to talk about Montauk. Now, is it going to be Montauk, New York or Montauk, New Jersey?
This is the
New York. Is it New York?
Yes.
Yeah, New York.
Yeah.
And then we're going to give you the segment of the Atlas Watch and tell you what the latest update on that is. I think it's calming down finally.
There's only so many headlines you can throw out there.
Yeah, it's finally calming down. But I'm going to calm down with this beverage.
Yeah.
Cheers, sir. Here we go.
Oh, that's so good. I love beer.
Down the rabbit hole we go. There was that lemon thing you gave me the other day. It was awesome.
Yeah, the Rattler.
Yeah.
Yeah, this stuff is good.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, let's kick this sucker off and play the bumper. Here we go.
All right.
You're listening to the American Anomalies podcast with Jeff Hill and Brett Morton. December 6, 1991, a chilly Friday night in Austin, Texas, in a yogurt shop on West Anderson Lane. 4 teenage girls would soon die in a blaze of violence and mystery. But the fire was no accident, and the answers would elude investigators for decades. This is 4 Girls, One Night, the Austin Yogurt Shop Murders. So the night that it happened, it was around closing time. Sorry. It was around closing time at I Can't Believe It's Yogurt in Austin. The shop's regular employees that night were Eliza Thomas, 17, and Jennifer Harbison, also 17. Around 11 p.m., as the shop was winding down, Sarah Harbison, age 15, and her friend Amy Ayers, age 13, dropped by, ostensibly to catch a ride home with Jennifer. At least 2 customers left before 11 p.m., reporting the employees locked the door behind them after they left. They later told investigators that they had seen 2 men sitting inside, but said that they didn't see them buy yogurt, only a drink. By midnight, a nearby police patrolman noticed smoke and flames. Firefighters were called and rushed in and found something far worse than a simple blaze. Inside were the charred, bound, and shot bodies of the 4 girls. They had been gagged, tied, and in some cases with their own underwear, and execution-style gunshots had ended their lives. 1 or more had likely been sexually assaulted. The fire had destroyed most of the evidence. Investigators believe 2 different guns were used, a .22 revolver and a .38 semi-automatic. The blaze and water from firefighting efforts obliterated critical clues. Austin Police Department assembled a special task force. They interviewed the shop customers, compiled tip lines, and sought every scrap of leads. Over the years, they would sift through thousands of tips. This is where it gets interesting. Some of the leads were tantalizing. A man by the name of Maurice Pierce was one of 4 early suspects. He was found days later at a nearby mall carrying a .22 caliber gun, the same caliber believed used in the murders. But that lead evaporated with no direct link, no witnesses, and nothing definitive. Investigators also identified 2 unidentified men seen in the shop just before closing, who never were tracked down or tied to the case, but many believe they were crucial. To complicate matters, more than 50 people confessed over the years. It says some falsely, but obviously all falsely, claiming they had committed the yogurt shop murders, and none of these confessions held up. So just a break from the script here. Can you imagine this horrible crime happening in this relatively, I'm not going to say Austin's a small town, but this section of town sounds like it was kind of small, kind of, mainly locals.
Right.
And everything's upended when you hear about this happening. These are 17-year-olds and a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old. That's horrible, horrible, horrible. You
Right.
just want justice. And you think you got a guy, it's not the guy. You think you got other guys, it's not the guys. And then you got 50 people come forward and say that they did it. I've never, how many times have we heard about that where guys confess?
Right. A few guys would do it, but 50 different people are confessing to a crime they didn't commit. Wow. What is going on there?
like the most horrible crimes too.
Yeah.
There was the one guy, I think we had done one thing about serial killers. And the guy was taking children. He was a chomo. And this guy says that was me, and they chased him around the world, and they catch him, and his DNA, nothing matched. It wasn't even him. He just wanted the credit for it. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I just don't understand that.
Credit for something so horrible.
And think about the families waiting for answers. Oh, we got the guy. He said he did it. Well, sorry, we checked the info. He didn't do it. 50 times.
Incredible.
So this was 1991. So now we're going to come up about 8 years to 1999. The case took a dramatic turn. 4 men were arrested. They did arrest the Maurice Pierce, a gentleman by the name of Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, and Forrest Welburn. 2 of them, Springsteen and Scott, later confessed. Springsteen was sentenced to death and Scott was sentenced to life. So now, hey, case closed. We got him, right? Mm-hmm. But the confessions were soon challenged. The accused both recanted, claiming coercion and improper interrogation tactics. Then another legal twist. The convictions were overturned by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. The issue was the defendants were denied their right under the Sixth Amendment to cross-examine each other's confession. While awaiting retrial, investigators turned to a powerful new tool, DNA testing, specifically YSTR testing, which isolates male DNA. They at least had it narrowed down to that it was a male. So this DNA testing is specifically male DNA. The results shook the case. The DNA recovered from vaginal swabs did not match any of the 4 suspects. The physical evidence excluded them, and as a result, the charges were dropped, but not until 2009. So 2 of these guys were sitting in prison for 10 years, exonerated, but not free.
Wow.
Springsteen and Scott spent years convicted before being released. Their ordeal became part of the larger narrative: wrongful conviction, flawed interrogation, scientific change. They were broken down to the point where they just said, okay, yeah, I did it. That is just that is just so wild.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
But there is a break. In 2009, the yogurt shop case sat in cold case limbo. No arrests, no identities, but the investigators held on to the male DNA profile that had been isolated earlier. By the late 2010s and early 2020s, advances in genetic genealogy, upgraded forensic labs, and renewed public interest created momentum. Finally, this year in 2025, the wheels finally turned. The Austin police formally identified Robert Eugene Brashers, who was discovered to be a serial killer and had died by suicide in 1999. But how did they make the connection? So the partial YSTR profile from the crime scene derived from a vaginal swab was compared against a database. It matched the lineage of Brashers. A shell casing found in a drain at the crime scene matched a casing from a 1998 case in Kentucky that was later connected to Brashers, which is wild. Investigators tied Brasher's known criminal patterns and geographic footprints to the timeline. His known history of violence across state lines made the theory stronger. Though Brashers is dead, officials now believe they have the most credible lead yet, and the families have closure after 34 years. One thing I left out, though, was that they said he's the likely suspect. So, it's like we have proof, but we are not 100% sure is what it sounds like to me. So the identification of Brashers doesn't erase decades of trauma for the families, for those wrongly convicted, or for the city of Austin itself. The district attorney has expressed intent to review and help exonerate Springsteen and Scott fully. Victims' families have reacted with a mix of relief, sorrow, and cautious optimism. But many questions remain. What was Brasher's motive that night? Was he alone or did he have help? Did more evidence exist that was destroyed in the fire? And what role did the two unidentified men play? 4 young lives taken in a shop meant for fun and sweetness. For decades, justice seemed out of reach, but one by one, confessions fell apart, DNA skeptical, and a new suspect rose from the ashes of the cold case. The story isn't over because justice isn't just about arrests, it's about truth. If you're in Austin or have any memories, tips, or leads, old or new, this case still wants your voice.
Yeah.
So it's
solved, but not solved.
It's solved, but nobody feels like it is because it had so many false starts, false stops.
But I mean, if you have a DNA match, then
that's it. That's it. But it's still like unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's just crazy. But the other thing is, it's like something out of a movie. They found a bullet casing in a drain, and said, "Wait a minute, let's put this in a database." And then years, what are we talking? 91 to 2009,
right?
19 years later, they match that to another case that pins it to this guy. They start putting it together. They check the DNA. It's a match. Oh, he killed himself. He's gone. It's like,
so closure,
it's like,
but not closure.
No justice. No justice.
Right.
Like, yeah, the guys where you would want him as a parent of your child being taken in this way, but it doesn't answer those final questions of motive. Was he just on a tear going through the states, the southern states, whatever? Did he have accomplices? It sounds to me like he did.
Right.
Maybe there was a rogue team of bandits, robbing places, and kids are in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it's like an easy mark because think of the fear of a young kid, 13, 15 years old, 17 years old.
Yeah.
You're a gruff looking dude with a gun and you're telling them what to do. They're going to do what you're saying, unfortunately. And there's not going to be any heroes,
Yeah.
Just terrible. But, to have the closure and no justice is that sucks. And it just boggles the mind why you had 50 confessions that were not true. What does a person, and this happens so much, why? What does a person gain from admitting to a crime they didn't commit? What do they gain?
I guess clout, maybe, among thieves, among criminals, but 50. I mean, sometimes you'll get 1 or 2 or 3 that, I did it, just want a little bit of fame, like, but that's the wrong type to get. But so many claiming that they did it is just wild.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we are going to move on to, we've already, spoiler alert, it's about Montauk, but I'm going to go ahead and read the opening hook anyway.
Do it.
So imagine a secret government program hidden beneath an abandoned military base on Long Island. Experiments in time travel, mind control, and even contact with extraterrestrials, all conducted in secrecy. Sounds like the plot of a science fiction movie, right? Well, for decades, this has been the claim behind one of the most fascinating and bizarre conspiracy theories in modern history, the Montauk Project. So today I'm going to take you on a journey through the story of the Montauk Project, what it is, the conspiracies surrounding it, and why it continues to capture the imagination of millions. We'll explore its origins, the wild claims, lack of evidence, and its lasting impact on pop culture. I believe there was books about this and movies, television shows about the thing. So it's been in the zeitgeist for a long time here. So, what is the Montauk Project? The Montauk Project refers to a series of alleged secret experiments conducted at Camp Hero, also known as the Montauk Air Force Station, located at the eastern tip of Long Island, New York. According to the story, these experiments were funded by the U.S. government and focused on psychological warfare techniques and exotic research areas like time travel, teleportation, and mind control. The theory gained popularity in the early 1990s thanks to a book titled The Montauk Project: Experiments in Time by Preston Nichols and Peter Moon. In it, Nichols claimed he had recovered suppressed memories of working on these experiments. His accounts, combined with those of others like Al Bielek, created a narrative that has fascinated conspiracy theorists ever since. So, the main conspiracies are mind control experiments. One of the core claims is that scientists at the Montauk were conducting mind control experiments on human subjects. Some stories allege that children were abducted and subjected to psychological conditioning and psychic training. This idea draws inspiration from real-life programs like MK Ultra, which is a CIA project in the 1950s and 60s that experimented with mind-altering drugs and psychological manipulation. Then there was also the time travel and teleportation. Perhaps the most sensational claim is that the Montauk Project created a time tunnel, allowing travel to different areas and even alternate realities. Some accounts suggest that participants traveled to Mars, while others claim they visited the year 10,000 BC. These stories often blur the line between science fiction and conspiracy lore. Then there was contact with extraterrestrials. Another reoccurring theme is that the Montauk Project involved reverse engineering alien technology. Some claim that extraterrestrials were directly involved in the experiments, providing advanced knowledge in exchange for something unknown. Whatever they can give us and what could we possibly give them, who knows. But anyway, that's part of the theory. And then there's the Philadelphia experiment connection, which the Montauk Project is often linked to the infamous Philadelphia experiment, which we covered on a previous episode of 1943, where the U.S. Navy allegedly made a ship invisible and teleported it. According to the conspiracy theorists, Montauk was a continuation of that research decades later. Whatever they found or didn't find during the Philadelphia experiment, they continue to expand on that in Montauk. So, here's the reality. There is no verifiable evidence that any of these experiments ever took place. Camp Hero is now a state park, and while there are old military bunkers and radar towers, no underground labs have ever been found. Historians and scientists widely dismiss the Montauk Project as fabrication, a mix of science fiction, urban legend, and conspiracy culture. But the Montauk Project taps into a deep fascination with the government secrecy and the limits of science. It combines real historical programs like MK Ultra with imaginative leaps into time travel and aliens. In a world where classified projects do exist, it's easy for stories like this to take root, which is very true. There's so many conspiracies going around, but a lot of them have been proved true lately. So
there's a ton out of that place.
Absolutely. So even if the Montauk Project isn't real, its influence is undeniable. There's a Netflix hit series, Stranger Things, which was originally titled Montauk and was directly inspired by these conspiracy theories. The show's themes, secret labs, psychic children, and interdimensional portals mirror the Montauk lore almost perfectly. So, Is the Montauk project real? Probably not, but who knows? But its story reflects something very real, our curiosity about what governments might be hiding and our endless fascination with the unknown. Whether you see it as a cautionary tale, a work of fiction, or a possible truth, the Montauk Project reminds us one thing: the line between reality and imagination is often thinner than we think. So, what do you think?
I like how the whole place even started out in a big mystery, shrouded in mystery. They constructed it to appear from the air as a fishing village. Like they had long guns that looked like like a fishing boat, or they had a house that housed satellite radio communication stuff in it, and it looked like a windmill. And so from the air, it appeared like you'd say, oh, that's a fishing village. That's what they called it, a fishing village.
Right.
But it held the secret. So from the start, it held a secret, and the average Joe couldn't get back there to it. It was all fenced off or whatever. But then they had bunkers in the side of the hill, and it was sort of, you could say, well, it was the military's place to get advance warning if an enemy came by ship or sea or, air, whatever.
Sure.
But then they had this huge dish going for years. And even after it was quote unquote, not, what do you call it? Like decommissioned even.
Right.
There was still equipment going and stuff. And then you had the guy, Preston. Now I can't remember his name.
Nichols.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the book explaining all the stuff about astral projection of your mind and being strapped in that chair and sent on missions similar to what they're doing in Stranger Things. It did mirror a lot of the stuff that he talked about. Mm-hmm. There's people that have come forward over the years that said there was like the house on the property that was for the kids, and it looked kind of almost like a elementary school or a daycare kind of thing, but it was like more sinister because then they take the kids one at a time and they do these experiments on them because they could tap into their minds wouldn't be resistant to the experiments. Mm-hmm. As an adult, you can resist because you sort of know stranger danger kind of thing, and you just resist. But with a kid's mind, you can kind of just get them to open up and I don't know what the word is, like more easily trained in these things that they thought they could do. Manipulative things. And to think that we wouldn't have done it, I don't know. I think it's highly possible. Now, is it on the level that Preston Nichols stated? I can't confirm or deny, but there's no question that from the inception of this property, it was shrouded in secrecy.
Sure.
Just the whole thing of making it appear from the air as a fishing village. Okay, I get that. You can just write that off and say, well, that's just in case our enemies fly over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't buy that. If this is me protecting my land here, and I know you've got miles and miles to travel, I don't care what you see, because you're going to see a gun firing a missile or a large projectile at your ass.
Right.
I would want the show of force.
If you've made it that far, yes. the secret's gone.
Right. So the secrecy, I think, would have been more about people in the vicinity because it was highly populated.
Right. Our own citizens.
Yeah.
Our own.
And also, after those years that I'm talking about, then you get into the 40s, you get into the Philadelphia experiment years, and then you get 20 years past that in the, I think it was the late 60s would be the Preston Nichols era, 70s and late 80s, it was supposedly shut down or whatever, but people can still go there. It's a park. You can still go there and see the facilities that are in the ground, the bunkers and stuff, they're like closed off. And there's still some videos on YouTube before the whole place was shuttered that people got in and were able to go up into the, I call it the windmill, but it's the huge antenna tower. They were able to get up there and take some footage. And there's stuff that one guy had footage of that years later somebody else went in and you couldn't see it any longer. And there were doors that were sort of cement walls in front of the doors and chambers. They knew there was a chamber, but they couldn't get in there. So there's still something there, and nobody really knows the purpose for it. Like, even if it was a military installation, you still have questions of why.
Yeah.
Why is this here? So it leads to all these theories. And I'm more apt to believe they were up to something.
Oh, for sure.
Something was going on. And
there's always more to the story.
It's pretty hardcore when you bring children into a story. and you say experimentation, all these things, but it's like under this guise of it's the military, bring your kids, they're safe. You would think nobody at that level would harm your child, and maybe they weren't necessarily harming them, but they could sit them down and say, here, read this. And then they read this thing and look at this photo, and they try to do these mind control things where we've heard about the people doing the projection where they're in the next room. And,
Right.
it could be simple things. Just look at the card, think about what you see, and then see if the other kid in the other room can pick up on it.
And some sort of telepathy.
Maybe that stuff was happening on a level that we'll never know. But it's interesting as hell. And I would definitely say to check out the Preston Nichols stuff just to get the other side of the story, because it's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild. But to finish up like we've been doing the past few months, previously we were on the other pod, and then we decided to do something more, what do you want to say, more centric to the U.S. only. So we made all this new stuff, and we added in the Atlas segment because, yes, it's off, not necessarily in the U.S., but it's created a lot of fervor here. And so I've got I've just been keeping an eye on the most recent headlines because they were getting so wild. Now they seem to have calmed down a little bit. The interstellar comet 3I Atlas is surprisingly massive. This is Avi Arid's. Am I saying his name right? I'm sorry, Avi Loeb. Arid. Avi Loeb is the guy that everybody keeps asking about this, and he's making predictions. He's saying all this different stuff. And here's the latest from him anyway, is that this thing is surprisingly massive, estimated to be over 33 billion tons, though it poses no threat to Earth, but it is on a hyperbolic path out of the solar system. Loeb and a team of scientists have controversial hypothesis suggesting that it might be a nuclear-powered alien probe, though mainstream astronomy discounts this. Other predictions refer to the stock performance of the Atlas Energy Solutions and the Star Atlas crypto project, which is also experiencing a shift in the market. So there's some people taking advantage of the hype.
Yeah.
Astronomers are tracking the newly discovered interstellar comet. So now we're at least calling it a comet, because a few weeks ago we weren't calling this thing a comet.
All kinds of things.
With recent analysis suggesting it may be unusually massive, like I said, 33 billion tons. They're saying no threat to Earth, they're calling it a comet, poses no threat of impact. It's on the hyperbolic path, meaning it came from outside of our solar system and is continuing its journey through the galaxy. And I believe, so today is October 1st, and on October 3rd, it will be able to be seen more clearly from satellites near Mars. So they're going to get some really good shots of this thing in a couple of days. How long that'll take to get back to us, I don't know. But back on July 21st, the Hubble Space Telescope got some images that showed a glow on the comet's front, which Loeb theorized could be emissions from accumulated dust or a frontal nuclear source. So he's been stirring this pot about it being a craft, and a lot of people are buying it. A lot of people are into it.
Yeah.
Mainstream science, however, discounts the idea that the glow is attributed to reflected sunlight or rare interstellar nuclear material, preferring to attribute it to outgassing. But there's a crypto called Star Atlas that's going crazy. And then there's a company called Atlas Energy Solutions, which has been kind of making some waves. And it's just, people are, making a lot out of it, that it's just popped up. They're talking about the speed of it slowing down and all these other things. And it's going to take a left and show up on our doorstep during a football game. Halftime Super Bowl show will be interrupted with aliens and insanity. But we're close. We've been waiting on this moment. That's why we started the watch, because we wanted to see images of it, and we're going to get good images of it here in the next couple of days. And then I think even further, November, it should come back around the sun and be able to be seen even better. So we're gonna keep doing the update on it as we go, because when the little green men pop out of the sunroof and show deuces on their way out of the galaxy, we want to at least be able to report it here to you.
Right.
And we want to know what you guys think. Leave comments on the video. Go over to Spotify when you listen back. Leave a comment there. find us on Instagram or Facebook or something and let us know what you think. Probably the best place would be right here on YouTube. Leave us a thumbs up. Let us know in the chat what you think is going on with Atlas. And also, we're looking at urban legends, lore, stories, all those little nuggets that are out there, the unsolved, the mysteries, the fireside chats, the ghost stories, all that good stuff that are based here in the U.S. So if you've got one, you've got an old tale that an old family member used to share with you that scared the bejesus out of you, or something you want us to discuss or look into that you think we'd enjoy, leave that in a comment too, and we'll look it up and bring it up and talk about it. And that's our episode.
Yeah,
so
sounds good.
I think we pulled it off. So I didn't even get a chance to crack this second one, so I'm going to do that now. Until you guys have a great week. We'll see you next time. You can catch replays anytime here. And a couple days later, all of our episodes get put over on Spotify exclusively right now. When that spreads out further, we'll let you know. But right now it's on Spotify. And it is video and audio, as well as video and audio here on YouTube. So subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And
appreciate you all listening.
That's right. And we'll see you guys next time.
Be safe.
Play that bumper one more time. You're listening to the American Anomalies Podcast with Jeff Hill and Brett Morton.